from what's his name? Oh my God, I'm really horrible
Silver.
with names. Silver, yeah.
Sure. I actually don't work there anymore.
No?
No.
You stopped?
It didn't really work out like a relationship.
Yeah.
You need trust in a relationship.
Yeah,
you know?
and it just wasn't working. Well, I just wish that there would have been more communication, like by this day or by this time. I just didn't know what happened, and then I never heard anything back. So I was like, okay, well maybe right now isn't the time. Maybe another time will be.
Were you
better.
going to be featured like as a personality or
Yeah.
like as a blogger? Like we were going to see your text, or were we going to see you were going to be a video personality?
No, it was going to be a video personality. Just the food, the chef stuff that he wanted to do to cover. Different chefs from the valley, kind of very Anthony Bourdain, like show you what the valley's food's about. So we were supposed to do something like that, but it just did not work out. So hopefully we'll...
Are you a chef?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay.
I'm a huge foodie and I'm a huge fan of chefs, and I'm hoping to get back into the food industry, maybe become a chef, learn the craft from someone who knows. But right now I'm not. I cook very just sporadically.
How many birthdays have you had?
I am 26 years
26
old.
years
27
old.
in September.
When you say
27.
back into the food industry, what do you mean?
So I've been teaching for 2 years, and then before teaching.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you teach?
English. Well, I don't teach anymore actually. This
Okay.
is like the first year that I'm quitting because I just was very unhappy in the teaching world.
Why?
Because I don't really believe our education system is doing what it should be doing for most of our kids, especially in this area where there's so much lack of like English knowledge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I got really, really bummed out by the education system. But before that, I was working as a server for 4.5 years. That's what I was doing while I was in college. So
Cool.
I want to jump back into the restaurant industry because eventually I'm hoping that I'll open up my own place like in the future, far from now. So
Wow.
that's the goal.
So you have a goal.
I have a goal. That is the goal right now, unless I get back into the restaurant industry and realize maybe this isn't for me. You know,
Is it going to be a vegan restaurant?
I think that it would be like a majority of vegan food. I wouldn't do all vegan food because I would like to have the most amount of people come and enjoy whatever food that I decide to make. But I do think that having a big vegan menu that's very flavorful could be really, really cool to like introduce to the valley world and make.
So would you want to, hypothetically, your dream restaurant, it's ran by you, right? You probably are the chef.
Yeah, my brother also loves to cook a lot, and he's up in Austin right now, and I think a big dream of his is also to like give up what he's doing, which he works at a car dealership, and kind of start cooking. And I think he's more of a chef. I'd like to look into like running the back of a restaurant, the front of a restaurant, and maybe manage so that I could be like front of the house, and maybe my brother could do something like chef, or maybe I'd be the chef. I don't know.
Right.
I'm barely gonna dive back in because I just made all these decisions like this summer. So
very recently.
Yeah, very recently. I've made a lot of recent decisions to just change everything that I've been doing because I wasn't very happy with what I was doing. So that's the plan right now. But we will see because plans change. But that's the goal.
You'd want to open up this restaurant in the valley?
Yeah.
Do you see in 10 years you're still working here?
I do.
I mean, you've been around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've also I went to Texas State for a little while, but I spent most of my time in Austin, and I fell in love with Austin, and I always thought, as soon as I graduate, I'm going to move to Austin. But then I started rethinking that because I think the valley is really growing right now, and I think that I'd want to be a part of it growing because it can grow in a negative way and it can grow in a positive way, and I think a lot of people are trying to make it grow in a positive way, and I'd like to really be a part of that. So I would like to live in Austin one day and maybe New York for a little bit, but I do see myself sticking around in the valley for the most part.
Wow. I'm a valley native, and so are you.
Yeah.
You were born and raised here?
Yes, Mission, Texas.
Mission, cool. I moved from Oklahoma to Dallas, and then from Dallas here when I was like 6. So I've lived here for over 20 years. And, would you call yourself an artist?
I guess so. It's hard to call myself
because you're
an
huge
artist.
on social media.
Thank you.
No, you are,
I don't...
you know what you're doing, and you're doing it right, and it's smart, right? And
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying.
You don't know what you're doing.
Figure it out. You know what I mean? So...
Even I know what you're doing.
Thanks.
So I think I love what you do, and you have a great big personality. I consider that an art form, right? And so here you are in the RGV. You could do this anywhere. Like you said, New York, you've done it in Austin. In your eyes, what's the value of doing it here? What's the value in where it could go bad or good?
Mm-hmm.
And right now, maybe, I don't know what that percentage is for you, but why do that when you could apply your value in Austin, where one could say it's already good?
Yeah, well, because I feel like a lot of people in Austin are already doing what I'm doing, and in the Valley, not a lot of people are taking risks and trying to do something that's not so 9 to 5, 8 to 5, So I think that the value of doing it here is showing people that it can be done here and that it can be like a career, or that you can have like a happy, fulfilling life in the Valley doing something other than what everybody else is doing, like kind of making your own niche. I think that that's what Austin is great at. Austin is great as people just coming in, having their own ideas, and then that blowing up. And I think that we need to start that here. Not exactly the way Austin's doing it, because Austin has a completely different culture, but we have our own culture that's unlike any other place in the entire world, really, where English meets Spanish and Mexico meets Texas. And I feel like starting something here shows younger generations, like, you don't have to leave to progress. You can stay here and progress here, Now,
I'm with you. By the way, you have your hat backwards. I'm going to have my hat backwards.
Yeah, it's the cool thing to do.
I want to be cool too. And what you're doing is working on the internet, so let's try not to do that. I'm sorry, because it comes out.
Gotcha.
It's cool. I was like, is she going to do that 100 more times? She is.
I am. Let me make sure that this is up too.
Sure. Gotcha. Totally cool. No, it's all part of it. Now, I'm right there with you with making this place better. And also, I think about the future. I think about, we're probably the same generation. I'm 28, you're 26. And we're part of the same generation. We remember a valley that wasn't as what it is right now. And it is growing, and it is turning into something beautiful. That's why I'm making this podcast. That's why I'm getting people that I think are important in the valley. And I want one day someone to be like, whoa, this is the people I've been looking for right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm looking for that 16-year-old Knives to be like, wow, that's what I've been waiting for,
Definitely.
At the same time, it's frustrating. Is it frustrating for you? Is it a pain in the ass?
All the time.
Talk to me about that.
I mean, I'll be really positive about certain things and, just feel like, man, it's really, really looking up. And then you hit like a wall of maybe some negativity, or just thinking that things are going to go a certain way, and then realizing that people had other mindsets. And
can you give me an example of that?
I've had a few times where people want to collaborate, and I'm totally into collaboration. Obviously, that's why I'm here. Like, I think it's so important to help each other out, but there's a lot of this mentality of like, well, you're going to do this for me, and that's about it, So when I'm thinking that things can be very collaborative, it's more very one-sided, and that is very discouraging, because I feel like we as people that are trying to expand this art industry should be united and should be helping each other other than using each other. But I feel like that's where the Valley just needs to figure itself out. Like, do you just want to use people and find your way through that, or should we just get together and work with each other? And I feel like that's something that really discourages me when I'm trying to say, it's not about me, like, I'm not making any money right now, like, it's about progression and unity, but a lot of people don't see it that way. So it becomes tough to deal with those type of people constantly when those are the type of people that are reaching out to you, So that's been the most difficult thing so far, the fact that sometimes you just don't see eye to eye with people and their way of thinking about
I feel like I'm going to take a leap and say you're Hispanic.
Yes.
Your last name's Fuentes?
Fuentes, yes.
That's cool. I'm Hispanic.
Yeah.
Did that come off?
Yeah. Well, I figured,
Monroe, though.
Yeah. But, most people down here, are Hispanic in some way.
Sure. But I never know. Because people, when I moved here, people didn't know. They, I'd get the gringo, and I'd get the...
Yeah, I get that a lot, too.
Do you? I bet.
Yeah, I get all... Especially...
Can you speak Spanish?
Yes. Actually, Spanish is my first language.
Cool.
So, my parents are from Mexico, and we moved down here when I was, 1. So, I never had to live in Mexico, but I spent most of my time in Mexico.
I feel like you've encountered the negative stereotypes of the Valley, the negative stereotypes of Mexican-American psychology.
Yes, definitely.
And I feel like that's the biggest problem here, and I'm not trying to make this a soapbox about that, but that's the challenges that I've encountered as well, is I feel like you have to train people on how to collaborate. It's like they don't know. They were never taught.
It's hard. Not that I would know. Maybe sometimes I'm doing it wrong too, and if I were doing it wrong, then I hope that someone would say like, hey, that's not the right way, or maybe we could do this better, and I would totally take that into consideration. But I do believe that people need to learn how to collaborate a little bit.
I think so too.
better. Yeah.
I feel like that's my job. You know, I have a filmmaking background. I'm a movie maker. Started putting services out there to educate people, to bring people together, because I felt like it was kind of selfish for a long time. I made movies by myself for 10 years, and it was great, but after a while you make a movie and it's kind of like, is this all there is?
Yeah.
I much prefer to go to Yerberia and like film somebody's set, put it online, and then it's more special to me.
Definitely,
right?
and then you can get more people involved too, so that's really...
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here, and I've encountered, wow, I have to train people on how to collaborate. They don't get it, you know, and a lot of people have been burned, and a lot of people, you know, backstab, and I don't know if that's like a exclusive trait in the Valley, but it's something that I encounter every day.
I don't think it is. I think the problem is that since this is all really new, people are just so used to, like, I guess my huge problem is the fact that, you know, corporations and these big buck companies come into the Valley and kind of just, well, you're working a minimum wage job and you're just kind of being used. You know, you're not following a passion. You're not excited about going to work. You're just kind of like drilled, and you do this and you come in on time and that's it. So everyone has the mentality of like, well, I'm so sick and fucking tired, you know, like I really don't enjoy what I'm doing. So when they do venture off into something that they might enjoy, they still have that mentality of like, you know, I've been used and abused for a really long time and things that I wasn't loving. So I think that like kind of is why we get that. Well, that's my perspective on it. I think we've just haven't had enough people following their passions to feel like happy enough, to feel like I'm going to give my all to someone and I expect it all back and it's going to be okay. Most people are like, no, I've given my all already and it didn't really work out. So now I'm just in this like limbo. And I feel like maybe if we talk about it more, then people will start realizing like, you know, it's not, when you're following a passion and doing something more in the arts, you don't have to like be afraid like you are when you're working under somebody who doesn't really
How do you know
care.
That?
How do I
if
know
I'm somebody that doesn't know that, if I'm somebody that doesn't know that, if you follow these passions and this creativity, that I'll kind of like that, I'll be okay. How do I know that if I've never felt that before?
Well, you have to take a risk. If you're not going to take any risks, then you're never going to understand whether that's what's right or what's wrong for you. So
how do you know that?
Well, I
agree with you.
I feel like I've been taking a lot more risks. After I graduated from college, I didn't know what I was going to do, so I took like 6 months off and did really not much except for like paint and like sketch a little bit and just really had like some downtime. But then I went into the teaching world thinking maybe this is for me, and then I took a risk, realized that wasn't what I wanted to do, and then eventually started taking risks in a lot of things, started my food blog. That was a risk because I'm putting money into something that I'm not really making that much money out of. So I feel like because I've taken risks in a few areas of my life, I've now started to see that I've grown a lot and I'm a lot happier. And the more I continue to take risks, the more I see that that's what I should be doing. And I think that showing by example is the only way that it's going to go here in the Valley. I can't tell you, hey, well, you should take a risk. They're going to be like, well, what the heck do you know? Like,
sure.
But if they see that I'm taking risks and I seem a lot happier, I seem a lot more productive this way, then maybe they'll change their minds and be like, hey, well, I could definitely
You said
do that.
something really important there, and if you could elaborate, that'd be great. You said that you grew and then you got happy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big believer in, you know, growth is happiness, progress is happiness. You know, satisfaction is the end of growth. You know, in a lot of ways.
Definitely.
What have you done, notably recently as well, that where you could measure the growth, and what capacity?
So I started with the Follies, this punk pop band in March. I had never sang in a band before. I'd actually never sang in front of absolutely anyone except for probably my mom. And in the shower, maybe. But I've always wanted to sing, and I was really afraid to do it. And I saw that they needed a lead singer, and I went and I tried out, and I got the part. And, you know, 3 days later, I was at Galaxy Fair, which is like one of the biggest festivals here. And that was a huge risk, and I was very afraid, and I was very shy, and I feel like I was very stiff at first, but it's been a few months now, and I feel completely okay on stage doing what I'm doing, and it wasn't easy, and I've had the hardest times, and I've cried about it, and I've been mad about it, and I've been like, is this the right thing for me? Like, do I look stupid? You know, like just all the insecurities. But at the end of the day, you know, we just had a show on Saturday, and it was probably one of the funnest times of my entire life, where I got off stage and I just had to like sit on the floor and think about everything I just did and how fucking great I don't know if I can keep cussing on here.
Fuck yeah, say whatever you want.
And all I could think about was how when I first started, I was like nervous out of my mind, and my first few shows, I would get so nervous that I would black out on stage. So people would be like, "Hey, do you remember this part?" And
but when you say black out, do you mean like you would faint, or
no?
Like, or
I
your
would
brain
black out.
turn
Like
off?
I would turn off in order to be able to do what I was doing without feeling scared, because I was extremely scared, and I still kind of get scared. But so in starting with this band, I was completely afraid, and I was taking a huge risk because I was so nervous all the time. And now it's a few months later, and I feel amazing about it, and I'm so glad I did it. And I hope that other people start doing stuff like this. It's been happening for a while, but I want more people to get into the music and more people to just like kind of get out there. So that's how I've learned that, taking risks will equal progress. And now I'm just so happy that I'm in this band, and I feel really lucky,
Wow, I'm a big believer, in my company, THEOUTERHAEVEN, we have, that I invented, 20 core values. Maybe you've worked somewhere where it'll be like admire, or I don't know, admiration. Like you'll see these little dumb things like on walls, but like the company doesn't really reflect that. One of my core values, and I think it's number 11, is decision making is power. Most people don't have the guts to make the tough decision, so they make no decision, which is a decision.
Definitely.
And they have to live with that. How did you get the guts to audition for this band? I mean, that takes guts, and obviously you decided.
Yeah.
And it was a great investment. You called it a risk, and I agree. How did you get the guts to do that? How did you get the guts to say, you know what, teaching is not my bag? How did you get the guts to do this, and how would you explain that to someone who's in that field of like, I don't know where to go?
I think that thinking about your happiness is the first thing you should do. If you're doing something that you don't love, and it's obvious to you, then you should start thinking about something else. I think a lot of people get really stuck, and it's kind of an oxymoron, because I say you should think about it as much as you can, but at the same time, if you overthink it, you're never gonna do it. So with the Follies, I had just been thinking about, I kind of want to start my own music. I was thinking that I was going to make my own music, but I don't really know how to do that very well. I can't play very many instruments. I can't play any instruments at all.
So you talk very fast, and I love it. Now,
sorry.
Now, no, don't be sorry. Never apologize for who you are, ever. And that's not punk, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding. But, gosh, and I forgot what I was going to say. But, with music, that's a big deal. Like, how did you know that you loved that? I mean, you'd never really, did you ever, it takes guts to be a teacher in front of a classroom, but did you ever speak socially? Like, how did you know that's a feeling that I want, and I'm okay with that?
Well, when I was in high school, I did a little bit of drama. And I was too, we did musicals, but I was too afraid to try out for any of the parts that were actually, like, singing and stuff. But I would try out for some of the parts where you would like dance, or you just had like little lines here and there. And I remember my drama teacher, I would get off stage and he'd be like, you should really do something in front of people. Like you catch people's eyes. And
was that like 10 years ago?
That was so long ago. Yeah, it was like 10 years ago probably.
That stuck with you.
It stuck with me for a really long time, because secretly I wanted to tell him, like, I really would like to sing in one of your plays. I'd like to have a bigger part, but I wasn't brave enough to do that. So eventually that stuck. And also I grew up in music. My dad can sing, my mom can sing, my brother sings. My dad plays the guitar. Growing up, I grew up like listening to my parent. My dad would get home from work and maybe get the guitar out, and they'd just like sing whatever song he found, and I would always want to join them, but I was really too shy. So I always had a dream of wanting to do something with music and wanting to do something on stage and performing, but I was thinking about it a lot in March, and it was just such a coincidence that when I was thinking about it, I saw their advertisement for looking for a lead singer, and I was like, you know what? If I don't take this risk right now, I might not ever get a chance to actually do this.
Did you audition while you were a teacher?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, March, April, and May, we were doing shows, and I was also teaching and practice every Wednesday. And
what do you think about the opinions when someone says, don't quit your day job? What do you think about the opinions when someone says, hey, why can't you do both? Why can't you be a teacher and then do a punk show right afterwards?
Yeah, well,
in terms of financial stability, right? There's always that argument.
I think that it's very possible to do that. I don't think that the way that I'm doing it is the way that everybody should do it, where it's like quit teaching and figure out what's next. But for me, this is what's working, because my day job was making my my happiness suffer because I felt like it didn't matter how much I did, it wasn't enough at my day job. So I don't think that everybody should quit their day job. Actually, our bassist is an art teacher, and I think he's probably the coolest because he gets to do art with kids and teach them about music, and then he gets to come over here and hang out with us and rock out. So it works for everybody. It works for everybody differently. For me, I'm quitting something that I don't love because I thought it was going to be stability, but at this point I'm like, I'd rather not be stable but be happy. I'd rather take that risk.
Love is a big word I've noticed in your vocabulary. It seems very important to you.
Definitely.
What are some things that you love, you must have? If you didn't have them, you'd feel like you were dying.
I love music. I love food. I love food so much. It kind of like guides me through life a little too much sometimes. I love style, like clothing, and like shoes and hats and sunglasses and styling clothes and going to shopping. Not like I want to own things, but more of like I love the aesthetic of today, what do I want to look like today and how is that going to represent me? I love that
I'm sure people
feeling.
tell you in your photos, and I'm not a creep, it's just your social game is on point.
Thank you.
And every time I see a picture of you, because I met you this one time and you looked like, oh, okay, I think I know this person, but she doesn't look like this person that I've seen online. And then every photo that I see of you online is different.
Yeah.
You're like a different person each time. That's on purpose.
Well, I don't think that being different every time is on purpose, but I do
mix it up.
Get up and decide what do I feel like today, and then I go from there. I don't say like, oh, this is an outfit that I need to wear. I say like, oh, well, I think that this feels good today, and then I decide from there, and that always happens to be different every day because you wake up and you feel differently every day. And if I'm happy, I wear one thing, and if I'm kind of in bummed out mood, I wear something else. But expression is always important, and I think it's funny that you say that I don't look the same in a lot of pictures because sometimes people will meet me and won't recognize me because of it.
But that's cool.
It's cool, but it's also weird because sometimes like I'll meet someone once and they'll talk to me and we'll talk, and then the next time they won't even realize it's me, and they'll be like, "Hi, what was your name again?" And I'm like, "We talked for like 35 minutes the other day, but okay, but it's just I guess something that comes with like changing."
You were saying expression. I learned this year that the exact opposite of depression is expression.
Yeah.
And I've noticed no matter who you are, you can be happy, and some people are trying to achieve to be happy. Yeah. But when you happily achieve and you're expressing something in whatever field that you do, usually people kind of tend to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that's what you followed.
Definitely.
That's a beautiful story.
I feel like I think the first thing I started doing was painting. I'm not the best painter, but
that's an expression of yourself.
Yeah. It was actually just out of the blue that I started painting, and I did a piece that was, most of my pieces that I want to work on are food, some sort of food kind of in there, or some humor.
What does that mean?
So the first piece, I haven't done too many pieces, but I have goals for pieces that I want to do to maybe put on a show once, when I finally have everything done. But my first piece that I ever did, I'm actually really proud of it. It took so long, I haven't even finished really, but it's called Pizza My Heart, and it's a realistic outline of a heart, with all the, I don't know what they're called, but all the different
arteries and veins and
yes,
whatnot.
Exactly, yeah. But the inside is just a kind of pizzas. So you get really heart, a real heart, but inside there's just it's like a funny little cartoony type of pizza.
Seems this is the first real conversation we've ever had.
Yeah.
And we saved it for the podcast. But from the little that I know about you, you seem like a sweetheart. You wear yourself on your sleeve, your heart on your sleeve. Love is really big for you. Food, expression, and you put it all together in this painting. Yeah. It's all there.
It felt really, really good to be able to say I thought of this idea and I executed it, and it's me, and I know that there's nothing else. Well, I mean, there might be other food art out there, but I think that this was the first time that I put all of it in one, and it made me feel really, really good, and I feel like that's something that I I learned from that experience how satisfied I felt doing something so me. And I was like, well, let's try more things. So I started sketching, and then from there I started trying to write some music, and I haven't done much with what I've been writing, but I hope that I will. So I just feel like it all kind of came together to show me, like, you took a little bit of risk, you put like a lot of love into something, and it came out very rewarding. So you could just snowball that into everything, and that's what I've just hoping to keep doing with like myself.
I think it's important. I think repetition, like working out, it's all about reps. You know, you don't just work out once a month and say I did it. You know, you got to do it consistently. I hope that you are doing all these endeavors that you chose to do consistently. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just played live just a few nights ago.
Yes, I played on Saturday. That's something that I do have a hard time with, though, being consistent, because I do get discouraged sometimes. And then what I do when I feel discouraged is I give myself a lot of me time. You don't have to do anything. Stay at home, watch some movies, listen to music. You don't have to create just for the sake of creating because you want to. You know, I give myself a lot of breaks because I feel like if I don't, when I do get into what I get into, like, I don't feel like positive enough. I feel like I always have to like take breaks.
Tell me more about that. I kind of don't understand.
Okay, so my biggest issue in my life, I talk about it on social media sometimes. I used to talk about it a lot more, but then I kind of stopped because I was getting a lot of weird energy about it. But
sometimes you can't be too autobiographical.
Yeah, definitely.
It's important to be authentic, which I find that you are online.
But it's also tough. You get a lot of feedback, so it can be tough. I've suffered from, it's a possibility that I suffer from something called endometriosis, which is a problem that 1 out of 10 women suffer from. It's having to deal with your uterus, and it's kind of excruciating pain for like 4 to 7 days monthly. And so that drains a lot of me. It's not 100% sure that that's what I have, but I've visited about 9 doctors, and they all think that this is what's happening. So I have a lot of downtime in bed where all I can do is nothing except for kind of just take the pain that's happening with me. So I use a lot of that time is downtime. Like, I'm thinking about what I want to do, or I'm just like using it as free time to just relax as much as you can really relax when you're in that pain. So for me, I can't be constant in everything I do. I have to take breaks. My body needs breaks constantly. I've actually had to cancel some shows because of it, because my body's like, no, you can't get out of bed today. So that's been tough, but it's also kind of nice to not have to do anything constantly, but take breaks and analyze and, you know, think about my next move and stuff like that.
How long have you been, coping with that?
Since I was 13.
So it's been about 10 years.
It's been about 13 years.
Wow.
A lot of people ask, like, has it gotten worse? Has it gotten better? It's kind of been the same. It's kind of, unless you felt pain like this, there's no really way to describe it. I've ended up in the ER before, you know, it becomes very depressing. But at the same time, those are the cards that I've been dealt with, and as much as I want to complain about it, when the pain is gone and I can get up and leave my house and see the sun again, I feel renewed and grateful. And I think that that's something a lot of people don't feel.
Yeah, you're right.
But even though I hate what I have to go through, and sometimes I'm so angry and so mad, at the end of the day, like, I can still come out with something positive and say, I'm grateful when I'm not in pain anymore. Right now, I'm grateful for not being in pain, and that's what makes me like strive to work so hard when I'm not in pain. Is the fact that, you know, tomorrow I could be in pain and I'm stuck in bed. Am I going to use today to live like happily, or am I going to like dread what's coming? No, I'm going to take that full force and kind of like use it as like a push, kind of.
Is this ailment, or whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called, is it linked with your period?
Yes,
so
it is.
It's
linked
entwined with the menstrual cycle.
Definitely, the menstrual cycle. What happens is.
So when you became a woman, it was there this entire time. There wasn't a time before that.
No, it was just as soon as it starts happening. Well, the thing that it is the tissue in your uterus detaches every month, for your cycle. What happens with endometriosis is that tissue does not only attach to your uterus, but attaches to other parts of the body. And so when it sheds from everywhere, not just your uterus, which is where it's supposed to, but it sheds from anywhere that it could be stuck. So I have back pain, I have neck pain, I have pain in my legs, I just have excruciating pain all over. And there's not really much to be done about it. You can go in and like burn the tissue down, but the regrowth will always be there. And even if like you remove your uterus, which I've looked into plenty because I think about it all the time,
I was going to offer that.
There's no guarantee that, because the problem isn't just your uterus, the problem is the tissue growing in other places as well. So if you get rid of the uterus, you might feel a little bit better, but the tissue will still regrow wherever it is.
Have you, I don't want to say played with, but have you experimented with different birth controls or anything like that?
Yes, I've experimented with many different birth controls over the years.
Nothing is a little better?
No, actually, some birth controls made it worse.
Oh, no.
Where I would get pain in a lot of the areas, in certain birth controls would give me just like shrieking pain in my legs, like needles, or I would sweat like I was going through menopause with some of them. So hot flashes like you wouldn't believe. People think I'm always exaggerating when I'm like, I'm so tired or I'm so hot right now, and people are like, oh, you're way too young to be feeling this tired. But it's kind of like, well, it all links in with this one thing that I have, and since a lot of people haven't heard of it, they don't know that that's how.
And that's the only reason why I'm asking.
Yeah,
because there's probably a lot of people who just can't talk about it that are like, me too. Yeah. Should I go to the doctor?
So if you have cramps, it's completely normal to have a little bit of cramps. But if you have cramps where you have to like go home from work, or you can't have any physical activity, or it kind of like starts changing the way you're thinking, then you should definitely go see a doctor and talk to them about what it could possibly be, because it could be a lot worse than what it is. And some people just get on birth control and it just gets better. Unfortunately, there's different stages of endometriosis, and at this point there's like no cure, so there's just a bunch of women having to deal with like a consistent break in their lives every month just because of this.
Have you I'm kind of reaching, but do you have to take that?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
Have you linked anything to your diet with this? Does this have anything to do with the food that you consume in terms of like, are you conscientious about this will make me feel better or whatever?
Yes, I did start reading a few years ago about giving up dairy because swelling of the body just adds to pain. So dairy...
there's some sort of like inflammation going on there, right?
Yes, definitely. Dairy is not supposed to be in our body to begin with, like if you start reading about that. But in a lot of diets for endometriosis, you get a lot of stick with no dairy, try to do it at the least processed food possible. So when I started looking into that, that's when I started doing my food blog, because I was like, you know what, I'm looking for more natural food, but I didn't have a lot of time to cook, so I started searching for that type of food around. And then the more I started learning about food, the more I learned about veganism, and a lot of the benefits from veganism came into the endometriosis diet. Like if you give up a lot of things so your body doesn't swell, the pain, it's still harsh, but it's not as harsh. So that kind of linked in that way. So that's how I found veganism and how it does help what I have. It doesn't make the pain go away, unfortunately. Nothing can make the pain go away right now, but it does help, like with the swelling and stuff like that.
I used to be grotesquely overweight. I'm still overweight. I'm getting better. Diet's the whole thing, because diet, I feel, is like 80% psychology and 20% mechanics, like getting the food and everything. So I've been educating myself because no one else is going to do it for me, right? Yeah. And one thing, and I'm sure no matter who you talk to, you're going to get different theories and whatnot, but one thing that's really interests me is like the acidity in the body. And every body has like a pH level, and if your body's alkaline, some certain things can't really manifest in your body. I'm sure you've looked into.
Definitely.
How committed are you to your diet for strictly health reasons? Because from what I followed on your social media, you just love food. You love the aesthetic of food. You love you know, when
I love
something
sharing
just tastes
food.
delicious.
Yeah, I love telling people how great things are and I love getting people to go where I go. Like, hopefully you'll have the same experience. I had a great experience here. Come have it, you know. I love to do that, but it is hard to say that I'm super dedicated to this healthy diet because I'm such a foodie. It's very, very difficult.
And do you love food that is just completely terrible for you?
I do.
Like what?
I haven't eaten them in so long.
And I'm not trying to trigger warning for everybody listening.
Tough. It's so tough.
She just started sweating right now profusely.
Well, because I haven't had one of the things that took me the longest to stop eating that I completely loved, and it's so horrible for you, is hot Cheetos and cheese.
I just bought some for my girlfriend yesterday.
It's not even fair how good it is. It just, they do these things with the hot Cheetos, all the chemicals that make your brain say, yeah, give me more, you know.
Yeah.
So
you never get full off of it.
No, and then the processed nacho cheese is not even real cheese even, but it just does something to the body, and I'm very aware of it, but it doesn't mean that I don't want it still. That's one of the hardest things.
Do you admit that in our culture, especially in America, food is like a drug?
Yeah,
that we kind of cope with that. I mean, there's moments when I would get out of work in Edinburgh, and I live in Donna, so it's like a 30-minute drive.
Yeah. And
there are moments where I'm seeing things I don't even want, like KFC, McDonald's, all these things.
Heck yeah, I want that.
And I have to it feels like I'm a junkie, and I have to beg people, don't offer me these gateway drugs.
The thing is, not only are our society has us in a place where we're really, really busy, so the first thing we want is immediate satisfaction. What's going to be satisfying? I'm going to take 5 minutes at a drive-thru and I'm going to get a Big Mac and it's going to be great. But what is it worth? You know what I mean? So it is very easy to get addicted to something like that. And I also think that the way companies work, a lot of people don't know, but they have people with their sole job is just to make you addicted to this food. They've got people working on colors and aromas and commercials, and they've got people, you know, advertisement just specifically to get you to think that this is what you need, and then you go and then you get it and you feel immediately satisfied, so you continue to do it, and that's addictive in itself. So I think that teaching people that this is an art form that these companies have makes people aware of how little power they've had and how much power that they can have if they start realizing that this is all a gimmick, this is on purpose. It's not a coincidence that we're so obese and we're keeping at it. It's planned. I mean, their goal isn't to hurt us, but their goal is to sell, and an addicted person is a person who's going to consume for the rest of their life. So
I actually just had this conversation on the last podcast. You know, Coca-Cola, the #1 industry on the planet, can afford hundreds of billions of dollars just in advertising, and they can link to us decadence in a Coke bottle
all day long, every day,
and all of a sudden, you know, we're triggered.
Movies, shows, commercials, you've got so many things, even when visuals. Sometimes you just go and there's like a Coca-Cola sticker. You go and there's someone has like a Coca-Cola cooler, and that's all that. It's just everywhere, and it surrounds you, and people think it's so normal to drink a Coke a day or 2 Cokes a day, and it's kind of like that's poison, you know. But people don't know that, and I think it's really important to get people talking about stuff like that.
So to bring it all together, as a foodie, as someone that is also very intelligent when it comes to these issues, you can see right through all these, you know, schemes and the agendas of most of these companies that maybe have a positive intent. They're trying to bring value
they're people,
camaraderie and all that.
And that's their job. They're people, and that's their job. I would never say they're evil. But corporations as non-people are kind of horrible because they don't think about everyone. They think about how are we going to benefit ourselves in the company. Of course, the higher up you are, the more you care about the money. But it is necessary to know that this is how it works. It's not that they want to purposely hurt us.
It's simple education, you know. Most people don't know this. Most people don't know. I mean, and then they wonder why.
Yeah, and that's why I started the food blog, because all my food blog talks about is local restaurants here in the RGV, because I realized that, you know, so many places were closing down, places I love, places with really great food were not making it because people were like, oh, I'm gonna go get some fast food, or I'm gonna go to this chain restaurant and have drinks there and have food there, and it's kind of like, well, those restaurants are going to be fine whether you go or not, but, you know, like your tia with her taco stand, if you don't go there tomorrow, she's going to close, and what is she going to do if that was her passion making food was her passion, and you don't go, and I don't go, and they don't go, then that's gone. And I'm not going to let people with passion in food who are amazing just be ignored because corporations are so good at getting us in.
Right.
So that's why I started this blog, to get people to realize, like, we have a lot of amazing food, we have a lot of amazing people, and we need to support them, because at the end of the day, do you want to wake up to a place where all you have is fast food? I think that's a horrible thought, and I think that could be a possibility here in the Valley if we don't start supporting local food a lot more, because sometimes I go to local restaurants and I'm the only person there, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, wow. This is the best place possible, and no one's there, and that makes me really angry. So that's why I started doing so much on social media, of just advertising everywhere I eat. Everywhere I eat, if I put up a picture, that's free advertisement for those people, and I'm willing to do that because I want to help, and I think everyone should.
Is the percentage of, when you say local places here in the Valley, I instantly think taqueria.
Yeah.
I instantly think beef oriented. How many places are out there that's not their gimmick? In the Valley.
It is about like 85% taquerias, and not that taquerias are bad, because there is some taquerias that just blow my mind. That I'm like, God dang it, they're doing something different, or they're doing it traditional, but they're doing it so well.
Sure.
But I do think that
and sometimes that means it's especially unhealthy. Sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you're doing traditional tacos,
sometimes they're using like the best lard, but it's usually the lard that hurts us the most.
Yeah, of course. But I think that's a huge problem in the Valley, that there's ways to do tacos. There's so many ways to do tacos, but we gravitate towards just one way. And if you visit Mexico, my family's from Mexico, and my family cooks a lot over there, and I have really great aunts that just make the best stuff, and it's not all tacos. There is healthy Mexican food. There is different like sub-regions of Mexico with different types of cuisine that isn't all what we have in the Valley, but unfortunately the Valley just gravitates towards tacos. But I think there is other things out there, and they're starting to grow, and I think the more that we support, the more that we will see things grow. And I've noticed it myself since I started the blog last year. More local places have begun to open up, and I think that if we all push, then we'll start seeing more cuisine and less. Not that I don't want there to be tacos, but if someone's opening up a place, I would like them to think, I'm gonna open up and take a risk with something different.
Sure. You want them to have options.
Yeah, because you might open up a taco place and it might work, but you're not separating yourself from the bunch, and in order to make it as a local business, you have to separate yourself. That's just the way that it goes. Like, you have to be different. You have to find a different way to get people's attention, because saying tacos, you can think of hundreds of places. You won't be the only one.
I wanted to ask you, and it's not to bring it back up again, because I know it's not like the greatest topic, but with your monthly, what do you call it?
I guess it's like a cycle that I go through.
Okay.
Cycle.
With the monthly cycle that you've probably gone through over 150 times at this point, right?
Oh yeah.
I know from my experience, anyways, just from my perspective, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I know usually when women go through that cycle, their brain makes them crave food that they otherwise wouldn't crave.
Oh yeah.
So how does that? How do you combat that in terms of you're a conscientious foodie, but you have this voice telling you hot Cheetos with cheese, and that's not good for me, and it's probably not good for my cycle, right?
Yeah,
it probably doesn't benefit the cycle. What do you do about that? I'm sure that's like a constant struggle.
So sometimes the smartest way to deal with it is always having snacks that are healthy and satisfying in your fridge or in your home. What I do a lot is I get like vegan ice cream, because ice cream is like a huge thing I crave during that time. I just want something cold and something chocolatey and something delicious.
Sweet.
And so I'll have vegan ice cream in the fridge, or I'll have like some healthier chips to just snack on as much as I can. But I will say that it's not every time that I can resist. And if I'm like in a really bad mood because I'm in a lot of pain, I'll say, you know what, like I've been doing really well for these last 2 weeks. I'm going to have the hot Cheetos and cheese. And I'm not going to, and I do feel guilty sometimes, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what, like I deserve to not feel guilty, to satisfy myself when I'm going through a really hard time. And maybe that's not the smartest thing, because obviously like if you're feeling bad, fixing it with food is not the smartest thing to do. But at that time, I really don't care. It's like, I'm going to put myself first, and what do I want right now? What's going to make me happy? And then I won't take it overboard, but I'll do one or two things that maybe it's not the best for me, but I have to live with it.
You
It's
sound
fine.
like a woman who's in labor who's like, give me the fucking epidural. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'll have
for
the hot
sure,
Cheetos and cheese.
dude. I sometimes I wish that I could record myself through these days, but I think it would be really, really embarrassing, and I'd have to really get the balls to like show people what it's really like, because it's not easy to see. Only a few people have seen me when that happens, but I am kind of like, it feels like I'm giving
I'll give you advice.
Uh-huh.
I think you should Snapchat it.
Okay.
I think you should next week or the next week when you're going through this, flood your Snapchat with that. I mean, all of it. Like, record 6 hours or whatever of content about that. And just at that audience, at that kind of micro level, because the way Snapchat works. Are you a Snapchatter?
Yes, I just started actually.
Okay, I don't even know. I don't fucking get it. All right.
Yeah.
Once Instagram implemented the story stuff, I'm like, whoo, I don't have to worry about that.
I don't know about that story thing.
I'm
on
all
Instagram.
about it.
You are?
Yeah.
Instagram, once it stopped giving me things in order, I don't like it.
Yeah,
It made me mad.
I know. I got over it though.
Yeah.
It's kind of my favorite social network.
I'm still not over it. Not yet. Just because I feel like I was reaching so many more people, and now I feel like I'm only reaching like a quarter of them. So I have like 1,300 followers, and I feel like...
How often do you post a day on Instagram?
Ooh, it just depends. It depends on what I'm doing. It depends if I have
Are there
anything
some days where
noteworthy.
nothing?
Nothing. Yeah, if I
Are
have
there
a...
some days 10 posts?
No, I'd say like at the most like 4 or 5 times a day.
Okay.
If I'm having like on Saturday that I had a show, I just kept posting kind of like what was going on, so that more people would come out, because it was a video and it was like their 1 year anniversary. So I was like, if I can get like at least one person that I know to come out, that's like more people, you know. So
Well, I've noticed like with Instagram now, I don't want to give away all my tricks, but for those people out there, because social media is a big deal. Especially if you're an artist, you know, you have to know how to play this game. It's everything. If you're not on social, you're dead. In whatever business you have. But I've noticed the story incorporation that they have on Instagram, it puts your profile top of mind every time it's posted.
That's true.
And so
I've
kept that in mind in terms of like, okay, I'll put something on the story at least once an hour, and people
will
that's
keep
the first thing they're going to see on their
true.
homepage. And maybe they'll fuck that up.
Ooh.
But I didn't want to give it away, but take it, you know, honestly, because I think it'll keep people on the top of it'll keep you on the top of their mind.
Good thing to know. I didn't think about that. I did start seeing. The thing about it is, I guess I've been so mad at Instagram that I haven't looked at anyone's stories. I'm like mad, you know. I'm like, But I think that is smart, because plenty of people are looking at stories. So I'm gonna start implementing that as well.
I never got into Snapchat. I remember
Snapchat is hard for me.
all my
I feel
young
really
friends
weird
that
about
were
it.
like 17, 18, 19, and 2013 were trying to get me into it, and I was like, I like the permanence of here's my thing, this picture / video or whatever is going to be there forever. But now that Instagram kind of has this, it's like, and it disappears in 24 hours. I enjoy that because now I can connect with garbage. It doesn't have to be perfect art all the time, which is good for my OCD. But it's something I want to, you know, I want to see more of you.
I have a hard time with stuff like Snapchat, because even though I do post a lot of pictures of myself, I'm not taking the actual pictures of myself. Whereas in Snapchat, it's like you have to just, here I am, and it's me, and I'm focusing on me. And I find that very difficult to do, because I find it kind of silly and a little bit...
Narcissistic.
Extremely narcissistic, very self-involved, and not say that we aren't self-involved. I can get self-involved.
Sure.
I like live alone now, so I feel like if I'm not self-involved, then I'm not doing anything, you know. So,
but I think your story with the cycle, I think you definitely need to share that, and I think Instagram could be the best platform to do that.
It's also hard for me to do it,
and also
though.
you won't have to be worried about that being there forever. You know, it's kind of disposable.
The only difficulty with it is I'm in so much pain that I just don't want to hold a phone. That's how much pain I'm in.
Really?
Like I bought, you know, I have a camera, and I thought like I'm gonna put it up, and when I'm sick I'm gonna turn it on, and I'm just gonna like put it up. But I find myself that I won't even get up to press play, because I'm like, I don't think anybody needs to see me right now. I'm gonna
throw this out there in public, but if you ever get the balls, if you get the guts to do it, let me know, and I would love to do a little 90-minute thing about it.
Okay.
And I'll give it to you, and you can do whatever you want with that.
Okay.
Honestly, because I only say that because the value I offer is I call what I do cinema. You know, it's dream language. When you have a dream, sometimes it's first person, sometimes it's third person, and in real life you can't do that. Right now we don't have drones following us around and things like that yet. But you know, I like to offer that objective point of view, and sometimes people really use that because they don't want to be the one behind the camera.
I think that's the only way that I'd be able to share the things that I go through, and I think what I hate the most is when I do share, I get a lot of people like, well, you obviously...
When you say people, do you mean men?
No, I get this from women as well, because since not everybody deals with this type of pain, certain women think that we're exaggerating. And I wish that was a story. I wish that it could just be like, I'm kind of just making all this up.
No, it sounds like it fucks your whole day up. It sounds like I'm trying to get my band together and all this, and then I can't do it. That's a sacrifice. That doesn't sound like you're overselling it.
It's so annoying, and it's not only is it detrimental to my body, to my mind, because I start doubting, like, should I even be trying this? Because look at how much this gets in the way and stuff. But what I get a lot from women and men, actually a lot less men nowadays, because I feel like men are kind of more like, I don't even want to touch that subject because I don't know what you're going through. But I'll get a lot of women saying, well, you obviously like feeling this way because you don't go to the doctor all the time. You don't go to the doctor every time. And I'm like, I've seen plenty of doctors, and some of them have been helpful, but so many of them have not, because they're not well versed in like what it is. And also, unless I have surgery to have a camera in my uterus, there's not 100% like this is what you have type of deal. So I get a lot of people acting like this is what I want. Like I want this pain. I want the attention from the pain. And that really bothers me, because I just want to be like, fuck you, dude. Like, you don't know how hard this is for me mentally, spiritually, physically, and for people to be accusing me of not wanting to feel better just really pisses me off. So when I was sharing a lot of stuff, there was a lot of people sending me really great messages and vibes, and showing up to my place and just saying like, hey man, like I didn't know it was that bad. So sorry, anytime I can help. But I also got a lot of like negative from me sharing so much. There was a point where I was sharing it a lot, and I think March, is it March or February? I'm kind of horrible. March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. Oh, wow. And so I was putting up as much as I could about it, and I thought it was really positive sometimes, but other times it wasn't, and other times I got a lot of negative resistance from just being honest. So that's why it's been tough for me to actually say like, on this day, I want to record myself while I'm in pain, because they're going to be like, well, if you're recording yourself, you're obviously not in that much pain. And it's kind of like, I just don't even want to deal with
That's
it.
okay. There's people today that deny the Holocaust ever happened.
Yeah, people are insane.
Yeah.
I mean, not that all people are bad, or people are bad in general. It's just people are so confused and think that their way of thinking is the only way.
It might be possible as well. And this is what, if I'm putting something out there and, like I know you said we live in I know you said that, Snapchat and all these things, it can be very narcissistic, but significance, like that is a human need. If somebody doesn't have that, they'll die, and the quickest way for someone to get significance is usually to tear somebody else's building down. Yeah. So if they see that you're doing this and you're just trying to make something, turn a negative into a positive, the way they get their significance is by shitting all over that for you. Definitely. That's the quickest way they can get
self-satisfaction. What they want.
Yeah.
They want
and that's what that is. And when you know that it's just a monkey human brain failure, isn't it easier to kind of just dismiss?
It is. It's easy to dismiss it, but I guess when you're in that much pain, the last thing you want to think about is negativity. Sure. And to feel that negativity coming out of something that is already so hard to do, it's not that I let them get to me, it's that, well, maybe just not right now, because I need to think about me and what's best for me and my brain and my mind and my positivity, like what's best for me. So it's not about like letting them shit on what I think I need to do. It's more of like, I want to keep my happiness this way, and I think it's working sometimes, not always, but I do think that showing people a little bit about what I go through could be helpful at one point.
And honestly, what I want for you is one person being like, dude, I had that, and I talked to this doctor, and you should talk to that doctor, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I definitely
I just want that, you put it out there, you increase your odds of getting that, and I think you deserve that, obviously.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and wrap up here. This has been a great talk.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, I look at you as an artist, and when I saw you the other day, I'm surprised that I think you recognized me, because I was on the phone, and I don't know if you got my attention, or if we made eye contact or something, but I was happy that you called my bluff and that you took time out of your day to come and do this, because it's still, it's still fresh and new, you know, but it's something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah,
And
it's really cool what you're doing.
I'm very big on,
A lot more people doing
I
it.
can't wait for someone to give me an opportunity. I'm going to go out there and just do it.
Definitely.
You know?
That's basically how everyone needs to think in the Valley. Like,
I think so.
You want to do something? Oh, let me just wait. No, you can't. Like, everything has not been done. You need to, like, make it on your own. It's not going to be easy, and you're not going to make money right away. But I think if you make a market for it, then it will be very possible for it to be very successful. And I think that what you're doing is great, and you're very, very good at interviewing people. So
Well, you're nice. I look at it as a talk. It's just a talk.
It's great.
What's your band's name again?
We're called The Follies. So you can find us on
Follies.
Instagram at The Follies 956, and then The Follies on Facebook. Yeah.
When can we see you live?
We're about to take, like, I think a month off to finish recording some stuff. Hopefully in the next month or two we'll have an EP release show. So that should be the next time that we perform. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't gotten to talk to my band about it too much this week, but I think we're all saying we need a break just to get music together and all that. So no live shows like in the works right now, but we do want to release like an EP and have like a show and, you know, just do that hopefully in the next month or two. And that's what we have looking forward to with The Follies.
Are you still keeping up with your food blog?
Actually, I've taken a break since May. I have not written anything. Well, I have written things, but I haven't released anything because I was having a really hard time with it. But
Do you use Google Voice on Google Docs?
No.
I just really got into that. So obviously I have a microphone, I could connect it to my computer. And this conversation, if I wanted, I could put it on Google Docs and it'll transcribe the entire thing.
Really?
And it's perfect.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think it's, I don't know if it was made for bloggers, but
Right,
if I was a
that's
blogger, I would have been
perfect.
like, oh, I'll just do that. Do it.
I do, because I do have like some blogging that I did in memos, but it's so hard to like listen to yourself and just care to listen to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to listen to myself over and over again. It's very like, I already went through it. I'm not going to learn anything, but I need to, because to keep blogging. So I think that's a really cool way for me to start blogging again.
Check it out.
Yeah, I definitely will, because I've been taking a break and everyone's like, what are you doing? Like you were on such a good, you know,
momentum,
and then I just kind of like gave it up for a second, but I do want to get back into it. I'm going to start, and I'm probably I'm writing about Grind right now, the coffee shop in Edinburgh that my friends own, and that'll be up soon. I keep saying that. It's been like 3 months.
And where can people find that?
It's www.thergbfoodster.com, FOODSTER.
That's pretty arrogant.
Yeah.
You're the RGB
I'm
Foodster.
the RGB Foodster.
But you know what? You are.
It's a word that I made up. It was never a real word.
Really?
Yeah, I just kind of took a play on hipster and said I'm going to be the hipster of food blogging in the Valley.
And not just
in the cheesiest of ways.
Not just a hipster of food, but the.
I am I mean, there's a lot more food blogging that's been started, a lot more blogs that have been started, and that's really exciting. And I just wanted to have a name that maybe people would remember or think is different, and I just stuck with it, and it's been cool. So I enjoy it, even though it sounds funny sometimes when people are like, my friends especially will be like, oh, hey, Foodster, and I'm like, shut up, you know, like it's joking, but at the same time it's like, well, you remembered, so that's
you won.
Cool. Yeah, at the end of the day, like, it worked, which is cool. So yeah.
Do you feel good about this?
I feel good. Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Pretty good.
Seems. Where can people find you on Instagram?
So on Instagram, I'm the RGV Seams.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it, man. The RGV. I like it. I like. When I first started doing it, people were telling me, you shouldn't associate RGV with your name because people have a negative connotation of the RGV.
Yeah. And
to that, I said, fuck you.
Fuck you. My first film, it was 2.5 hours long. It was a real movie, and in the trailer at the end, it said. It didn't say a film by Monroe or anything. It said an RGV film. Yeah. And people were telling me, like, why the fuck would you... Like, nobody says a New York film or a Chicago film. And I was like, how many movies have... Yeah. How many people have made a movie here in the RGV? I wanted it to be like, here's one of them, motherfucker.
Definitely.
So fuck yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like... the person that said, or the people that said, like, RGV has a negative connotation, I think, like, well, it has a negative connotation in your brain, so maybe you should figure yourself out, because you were born and raised here. I was born and raised here.
That's right.
And I'm a great product of this society. Like,
I think so too.
It hasn't been easy, and I have hard times, and I still struggle with the negativity, but I was raised here, and I still think I'm a really good person, and I think that I've got a lot of talent, and I think there's plenty of us that are the same, that have a lot going for them. And for people to say the RGB has a negative connotation, and like, you're spitting in everyone's faces with talent and positivity, and I won't have that. I think the RGB is changing. I think the RGB is amazing, and I think that like there's a place for everyone here, and I just want to roll with positive only things, you know. I wanted to start doing YouTube, but I've been very nervous about it because I'm so busy, and I'm also nervous to like be on camera and stuff. But I just want to focus on like the positivity that a lot of people bring to the RGB, and I hope that I'll get started with that soon.
If you need help, let me know.
I do need help. I've got you on.
Well, I'm the guy to do it
now. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I have a name. It's going to be called Not What It Seems RGB.
It's very
just
good.
To stick myself in everything, you know. Just
That's
make
very
it a
good.
thing.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a really cool thing, and I actually got a lot of people to interview, like probably over 100 people that like reached out and said like, I want to be a part of this, let me know how I can help, let me know if you can interview me. And I feel like I'm kind of letting people down because I haven't started it, because I've been so nervous about it, and also just so many changes have been happening in my life. But I do want to start that like as soon as possible to get more people visually seeing things coming out of the RGB, which a lot of people are already doing, but I'd like to, you know, have my spin on it too.
I want to see your perspective on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've got a great perspective, and I think I'm surrounded by such amazing people all the time that I just want to put them like in the
Well, you surround
forefront.
yourself with people with similar high standards.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's good.
I haven't always, but I just started making that a priority, seeing I have some friends that maybe didn't have my best intent in mind, but I've met so many amazing people that all they want to see is me progress, and those are the people that I'm just sticking to. And I'm not saying like I'm going to stop being friends with these people that I don't think have the same goal, but I just, you know, I'll see you when I see you, and not everyone's meant to stick around, but the ones that are helping me like with this mindset, I'm like, dude, like we're gonna be in this, and we're gonna be in this together. And I'm so grateful for everyone that's come in and like given me a chance to do so many cool things and just moved me along, you know. It's been really great, and I'm really grateful for all those people.
That's beautiful. I'm happy for you, and
Thank
nobody does
you.
it alone.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. A lot of people want to do things alone down here, and I realized that you can, a good man can do anything alone, but a great man realizes that you need the people to do the greatest things, you know, and that's something that I'm learning slowly too. Like, you need a lot of people. People are what motivate you at the end of the day, you know. It's great.
Well, I'll end this on, you know, once upon a time you were a teacher, and I guess you'll forever remain a student.
Yeah,
and I think that's a good place to be.
Definitely. I definitely would agree with that.
Thank you, Sims.
Thank you so much for having me.